that nice yellow blazer that he's got. All right, let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2, MUFC facing off against Invictus Gaming. You're watching the G1 League on our inaugural day of group stage action. I am LD, and joining me is Godz. Together, or David and David, and we're very excited to be casting this game. IG did take game 1. Gotta say, from start to finish, really no moments of true weakness. They bought 2 urns. I think that was the biggest mistake they made that game. I grouped
what
up
were they thinking? What were they thinking?
God,
that's 2 urns.
Noobs.
Who does that?
I would never make that mistake. No, my teams always end up with like 2 pipes and 2 mechanisms that we list the game. But yeah, game 2. MUFC has some disconnects. In fact, the captain disconnects, or at least the first place, the hero that's in that picking slot. So we'll see. We may have a remake if Net doesn't come back fairly soon.
Well, unfortunately, you cannot draft without your captain, although right now it's still... no, actually, it is over on MUFC's pick. They're chewing through some of their bonus time here, so we may have to have a slight remake or something here. But, yeah, MUFC just getting dismantled in game number 1. I mean, IG, they had some very smart picks. They went for an offensive trialing, something which the Chinese teams, I mean... never do, I want to say, at least not in the past, but they opted for it and it really paid off. They punished the Lycan pick. I think they felt safe knowing that if Lycan's in the lane, well, Lycan is not a good trialing versus trialing hero, and if Lycan goes in the jungle, well, and it's a trialing versus a dual lane, they knew that YYF on that winrunner can handle himself against the bounty hunter. He actually beat the bounty hunter with the help of those sentry wards. So really it was just a smart decision all around from IG. As soon as they saw that Lycan pick, they knew what they wanted to do, and that's something MUFC are going to be careful of here in game number 2. We are going to have a quick remake though, but I don't know, what are we expecting? Where do MUFC go with the draft for game number 2? What changes do you think they need to make?
I like MUFC better when they have more aggressive options in the laning stage. You know, whenever we watch this team, for me, it's always Sharky's jungle play, the Chuan, the Enchantress. I feel like that's really what sets the pace for them. So I would love to see them getting their hands on something like that, just to allow them to set up some early kills, get control over the lanes. I feel like if they go into the mid game in IG, they're just not going to win a farming war. And it's really hard to make better game decisions. It's sort of like, when do we push? When do we team fight? That's really one of IG's biggest strengths. So for me, I think it's Sharky getting a jungler. I think that's the big thing they could do to try and get an early start in this game and have a better shot at taking it in the mid game.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And I think, IG, they just have to keep doing what's worked for them so far. I mean, they're looking strong. I mean, we'll maybe see them pull out a different style of strategy here. I feel like they're a team that aren't really limited to having to run a similar thing over and over again. I think some teams are a bit guilty of that. If it works, don't change something that isn't broken. But IG, I mean, they're a versatile team. I mean, that was an offensive trialing. And as far as I'm concerned, that's IG playing out of the norm. I mean, nothing they would ever do in Dota 1 very often. So we'll see how they treat game number 2 here, but especially because they're getting back into Dota 2. Sure, every match is important. The way the format works is so that you don't want to really lose any match. I mean, the top 4 teams go through the next round, but the top 2 are in a much better place in the winner bracket. 3rd and 4th go down to that loser bracket in the playoffs. So you want to finish top 2. Every win is important. And then in the playoffs, evidently, if you lose, you could potentially be knocked out, not finishing in that top 4. So you got to take every match seriously, but IG, at the same time, they want to experiment. They want to maybe try some different styles, see what's going to work with this new patch. I think a lot of teams are trying to still just search and see what is the way to play this new version.
Yeah, they started off the draft in sort of a very standard way, getting the Tide, getting the Rubik, the Windrunner, but then they went back for something different. Like you said, experimenting with the Phantom Lancer, with the Keeper of the Light. I hope they really go nuts, go a little bit wacky this game, but this is IG, so it's always hard to say. I've never seen them do anything insane. And, well, they're going to start with Darks here, so I think the Naga Siren has to be a concern here. I mean, we've seen that combo countered. In fact, IG failed against it, but it's still a lot to give away. Tide's in the pool as well. I feel like these big team fight heroes are going to come off the board first.
Yeah, we're going to want to... I mean, what we saw IG do last game was get the Rubik and Tide Hunter with their first 2 picks. MUFC have that option. I don't think they'll necessarily go for that. They may want to go back to the more sort of traditional MUFC style, pick up a jungler, whether it's the Chen or the Enchantress. They will get the Titan, so they get a great team fighter, and maybe that means Rubik. I mean, TA's not in the pool. I mean, that's kind of their go-to hero as far as solo mids go. Silvercross used to play that all the time. They've now got ohaiyo, who we saw playing it last game, and managed to completely out-farm and control that mid lane against Ferrari. I mean, it wasn't enough. TA alone wasn't going to win that game, so they go Tide Rubik. This is what IG did. They decide they can run it themselves, and IG themselves now, I mean, I don't think they're going to be too worried by this, though.
Yeah, Rubik Tide. Good team fight, good nukes, good laning presence for these heroes, and very versatile with how you play them. I don't mind this opening, but there is still a Naga in the pool, and I won't be surprised at all if IG picks it up. The one nice thing about Naga, although she's gotten the nerf to her base damage, it's really hard to find a hero that can go into that off lane, because Naga plus anything with any kind of slow or stun, I mean, you can have Blink, you can have a phase shift or illusory orb, but it's really hard to lane against her, so we've even seen teams just abandon the lane if they go for Naga. I'm not sure they will. I know. I also want to point out Batrider is first ban material again this game. This is a hero in this current version. He got a little bit nerfed in 0.76. His strength gain was reduced from 2.7 to 2.4, but I think we're still going to continue to see more of him with the buffs he got in 0.75. And I hope he goes unbanned one of these games. I'd love to see how the Chinese teams use it. We've seen it a lot. We saw it a ton in Star Ladder without spoiling the games, and for the most part, really effective. But used to be a Chinese staple, is going to get banned out here, and now that Jakiro is the choice for IG.
Well, I mean, this is the new support hero to go to, and it's a great if they want to go for an offensive trial game. If they think that's the way to play it, it's a good hero to do that with. They still can get the Keeper of the Light with it if they really want. That last game they wanted to have the tanky option with the Tide Hunter. I actually don't play much Earthshaker, so I doubt we'll see them getting an Earthshaker here. But something like a Jakiro Keeper of the Light trialing could really cause MUFC a lot of problems here. If they want to go for the offensive trialing, they've got Darkseid, though, one of the best side lane heroes. They're going to go aggressive. Night Stalker. Most likely for Ferrari, I would. It's Ferrari in the mid lane. Yeah.
It's got to be a Ferrari Night Stalker. But YYF actually plays him more than IG, at least statistically he does. And you've talked about this. His Night Stalker is revered by other Chinese teams, often meriting a respect ban. I'm probably not going to see it in this version with only the 2 bans, but yeah, because they have the Darkseer, I'm thinking YYF for the Darkseer, then a Ferrari Night Stalker. I guess they could run zhou on it as a farmer.
Yeah, they could. Zhou's played it once or twice, I want to say. I'm not sure of the exact stats, but I'm pretty sure I recall Zhou playing it once or twice, and then Ferrari was on basically a more one-position solo mid, whether it's a Queen of Pain, Templar Assassin, some kind of solo mid which has more carry potential later on. So if that's the case, I mean, the main option for that solo mid is going to be a Queen of Pain here, I feel. Maybe an Invoker, but Invoker doesn't really offer the same carry potential in the late game as a Queen of Pain. But I'd say most likely Ferrari with the Night Stalker in the mid lane. It's open to interpretation. I think that we're going to find out with IG later on, and that's something which MUFC themselves, they don't know what IG are going to throw at them, so they have to just sort of pick to their strength rather than try and counter IG at this point.
Oh, MUFC going for the Shadow Fiend. Is this Ohaiyo or Ken who plays it? I actually don't know who handles the Shadow Fiend for this team.
I'd say Ken because it's most likely going to be safe lane farming. I don't think Shadow Fiend. I think he's very viable in the current version, but not really as a solo mid. I think he's better in that safe lane in some kind of a strong dual lane or trial lane. And I think more likely Ken's going to be on him there with ohaiyo sticking to the solo mid. We saw Sharky last game in the off lane. Sharky sort of switches between the support junglers and the off lane. They've got Ling who can also play that off lane solo on occasion. Even Net does. They're a very versatile team of players. They mix around their roles a lot. And we'll see how they want to lane this one. IG ban out the Enigma. That's a hero which MUFC Sharky loves to play. So a smart ban coming out from IG showing that they do know their opponents pretty damn well.
You know, I also find it interesting that MUFC is just not going for the junglers. Neither Chen nor Enchantress was banned, and leading up to the International 2, when before we found out they weren't able to attend when they're playing in the World Tour, I mean, they would first, second, third pick that almost every game. If it was there, they would take it, but just shying away from it. I guess it is a team that's made some changes to their roster and really just trying a very different playstyle from, at least so far, from what we're accustomed to.
Yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of it comes down to the new patch and also just the opponents they're up against. I mean, I think they're just not confident in the Chen and Enchantress fitting the current meta game. They feel that they have to go for something a bit different here, and they're banning well. They show that they know their opponents, so they must really feel that the Chen and Enchantress won't work. I mean, because they're banning out Ferrari seriously. They banned out the Queen of Pain, the Invoker, limiting those solo mids. The only real, I mean, the obvious option left is maybe going to be the Tinker. If they're worried about that, and that's at that point with that banned out, I mean, it sort of forces Ferrari to go in that solo mid Night Stalker, and for IG to pick up some other farmer for Zhou in the side lane here. They're going to ban up the Chen now. That's a hero that Chuan has played quite a good amount of, and something which he plays very well indeed. He's very underrated as a Chen player. So IG now, they've got the 4th pick, and for now, I mean, whether they go for a support or maybe their other semi carry, I mean, it's sort of up in the air.
It really is. I mean, this is a lineup you can run Night Stalker as your hard farmer, and he's not going to scale as well with items, but I've seen Ferrari with the late game Night Stalker have a heart, armlet, a BKB. He can get to a point where that hero, you just can't kill him, and you really can't ignore him during the night either. He's got some nice innate DPS, so they could run it as their primary damage dealer, sort of their main farmer if it's Zhou. I mean, even if it's Ferrari, it's going to get something. They already have some great team fight with the Darkseer Jakiro. It's a wide open second round of this draft. And MUFC, they have very strong late game with the Tide, the Shadow Fiend, Rubik, but they haven't gone for something that really gets crazy late. There's no anti-mage, there's no Faceless Void, so this is sort of a mid-game lineup for both teams so far.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, you sure you've got the aggressive ganking potential.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's your carry. There's the hero for Zhou, I imagine. It's going to be a Tiny here. I think we're going to be seeing sort of a late game carry Tiny here.
Wisp? Are we going to see Wisp?
Possibly. I don't see MUFC. I mean, MUFC probably see the Tiny and think, let's take the Wisp so they don't get it, but it doesn't fit.
It doesn't.
If they take the Wisp here, I feel like that's just sort of walking into IG's plan. Sure, IG don't get the Wisp, they can get some other strong support, and MUFC's lanes and just overall mid-game strategy just will not work at all. So they've got to just maybe prepare for a Wisp Tiny, and I'd say it's quite likely going to come their way.
This is something we actually saw from For Love in the qualifiers. They didn't end up making it into the main event, but they picked a Tiny as a fourth pick once the enemy team didn't really have room for a Wisp. And I think they were playing against Dreams, and Dreams actually went for the Wisp. They sort of took the bait, but then they just got destroyed in the laning stage, and Tiny ended up getting very fat. And even without Wisp, pretty decent hero. And I like that MUC isn't falling for that. They're going to give it away, and this hero, on paper, can really counter any sort of Wisp aggression. Even Night Stalker, just glimpsing them back after they relocate in with the tether. And if you play your Disruptor right, on paper, it can be very powerful. But we've seen this a few times before, and in some cases, Disruptor never really gets those openings, and just sort of the game falls apart. But I like this pick on paper for MUFC. No.
Yeah, and they're actually going to go Bounty Hunter last. So this is Jungle Darkseer. I think IG, they look at those heroes that MUFC picked and thought, okay, we can be a bit greedy here. We can run a jungle hero. We don't have to go strong tri-lane. They're going to be running Bounty Hunter in the off-lane with Darkseer jungle, so they're going to be trying to maximize their XP and farm. There's no point running a tri-lane, really, when they see what's coming their way. It's unlikely MUFC go offensive tri-lane with this. They can, of course. They can try punish the tiny Jakiro dual lane with an offensive tri-lane, but I think that's a bit too risky for them and something that just won't pay off. So IG go greedy, and I think that's the right move with this Bounty Hunter pick. A hero which, I mean, I talk about YYF, a hero he's played a lot of at TI2. I think it's probably his most played hero from the International.
Look at the chasing power of IG. Surge, Hunter in the Night, Toss to sort of getting close, Tiny going for the move. If he goes for the movement build, the move speed build, he'll be very fast. Plus track, and even if Tiny's going for mobility items, either way, IG, despite having 4 melee heroes, don't let that fool you. In the mid game, this team will have no trouble getting into the fights quickly. This is kind of crazy, in fact. But that being said, it is a 4 melee lineup, so in the early to mid game, they're not going to be that strong in the lanes.
Yeah, I don't see them being all that strong here. MUFC, they pick up the Brewmaster, so this is really mid-game sort of group up and push kind of play here. I feel like MUFC are going for. I mean, Brewmaster, one of the best heroes for forcing fights. You just go group up, go for towers here. They've got the Brewmaster ultimate, they've got a Tide Ravage. They've got such a strong mid-game here, and that's something which IG aren't going to want to fight into. IG want to play more that sort of pick and then back off and farm, or pick, take a tower, then back off. I mean, Knights, like you say, all the chasing potential there, great ganks coming in from them. It's going to come down to how well they can defend towers and kite and just poke at the MUFC team, because you can't really fully engage into this team fight here, but you want to poke at them, push them back as much as possible before you engage, get them down nice and low, and it is going to be an ohaiyo Shadow Fiend. He is going to be the one playing the Shadow Fiend. He's sort of the MUFC player who they seem to prefer putting on those key roles. Last game it was TA, this game it's Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, he didn't really have many openings this game, and well, we saw him go solo mid last game. Is this a solo mid Shadow Fiend? And you talked about IG going greedy. It may be something he can get away with. Chuan could smoke gank pretty early on that Jakiro, and maybe YYF roams mid. We've seen the off-lane Chinese bounty hunters really love to go ganking, sometimes even before they hit 6 at level like 2, 3, 4. Check the rune, try and set up a kill. But I feel like this game, he'll be fairly safe there with some good wards. It's not really it's not like there's a Chan or Enchantress, like a crazy aggressive early to mid game ganking combo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have strength in different points in the game. They can be a bit more versatile with it. So I mean, for now, IG, what is YYF playing there? Picked 3 of his trademark heroes. Unfortunately, he can't play all 3. He's on the Bounty Hunter. He's going into that off lane. We're going to see Ferrari playing the Night Stalker, presumably at the solo mid lane. He has picked up a very cheap eco build. We'll be looking for that fast bottle. Zhou's going to be playing the carry Tiny with a Quelling Blade nice and early on. Chuan on the Jakira, and then Faith. He's going to be playing that jungle Darkseer. So they will be running the more sort of farm-heavy lineup, trying to maximize that XP, and we'll see how MUFC try and deal with that. It looks like they want an offensive tri lane.
Interesting. It's going to be Ken on the Brewmaster, farming that offensive tri lane. Ling playing that support disruptor. Net on the Tidehunter. And let's see if they actually go for it. Sharky soloing mid, going for, like you said, the eco build, but not quite as much. He has stopped for a circlet, so that's going to delay his battle. Ohaiyo farming the safe lane would be decent. Would have a decent time 1v1 against Darkseer or Bounty Hunter. I think Shadow Fiend does okay there, but we'll see. Are they going to protect him, or are they going to stick with that offensive tri lane? It looks like maybe dual lanes for them. Not really sure. They're kind of all over the place right now.
Maybe offensive tri. I mean, the fact they pulled all this regen to Shadow Fiend, he's got Tangos from one of his teammates, sort of suggests he may be sort of soloing the top lane. He knows he's up against a melee hero. The only ranged hero on the IG side is that Jakira. That's something which can be punished by MUFC, so maybe they try and do that with an offensive tri lane. Or maybe MUFC want to just be a bit more sort of greedy themselves. It's not really greedy, but at least play a safer, more farm-oriented style of play, using the Tidehunter to get some pulls at the top lane. But he's headed down bottom, so they're going to try punish this IG team, prevent Tiny from farming here at the bottom lane. They're going to do that with the tri lane.
This could be our first blood.
That is not where you want to be, and Darkseid just has to follow him along. He's even blocking him. Net's going to go down. Very early kill going the way of IG, and just walking up that hill on your own. That's just death at this point. You can't be doing that as a Tidehunter.
Yeah, we don't see that often from supports. They almost always come this way from that bottom tier 1 into the jungle, so you're never walking up a hill where you don't have vision. IG were ready. A little bit lucky that he walks into that trap, but nice body blocks as well, just to ensure the maximum ion shield damage. And this can also be immediately dewarded. They know it's here. No sentry wards yet, I don't think, but once Darkseer or Chuan on the Jakira have some money, they'll probably look to do it. Lane rotating in, trying to challenge the pull, but Chuan really trying to get it off. He only gets the range creep. Not sure how much pulling they really want to do as the aggression comes down to zhou. How far will they dive? He has Avalanche. He's really trying to bait this, and he waits too long. He doesn't want to turn around and drop it. I feel definitely could have gotten a kill in lane there. Maybe even saved his own life, but goes down in the end.
Yeah, Tiny Zhou. I mean, I think he thought that last hit from Tidehunter wasn't going to land. I mean, Tidehunter swinging his little cleaver from about 300 range for a melee hero.
It's true.
I don't know what he's been drinking, but something gave him that extra long range there. And Zhou, I mean, just wasn't expecting that. And that's really what we saw IG do last game to the tri lane of MUFC. Just get very aggressive early on the melee carry, who can't really offer much at those low levels. I mean, Tiny's got a stun. The Lycan had next to nothing. But if he goes in for a last hit, he hasn't got a stout shield. He's not blocking any of this damage. This Quelling Blade isn't going to do him much good when this Ling playing the Disruptor is just going to be causing him all kinds of problems in terms of harass.
Before we forget about these lanes, as actual Pride breakout against Soon bottom, Ferrari is laning mid against Rubik. That's being handled by Sharky. And our top lane is YYF's Bounty Hunter up against Ohaiyo. And Ohaiyo really dominating this lane. 9-2 already, only 3-1 on the Bounty Hunter. So this is nice. It's working. You know, it's the downside of that greedy lineup is you can get away with running a hero like Shadow Fiend solo up and tucked away in that safe lane, but very strong against the Bounty Hunter. And Godz, I am hearing myself a little bit in the background, so I don't know if that's something you can fix. But might
in the background of
your mic.
Oh, that's strange.
I don't know
how that works.
Maybe turn down your headphone volume a bit.
Yeah, I'll turn to my headphone a bit. No problem. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, for IG now, they just look to play this as defensive as possible. As long as they don't give up too many more kills in this bottom lane, they'll be in a pretty good position here. And the thing is, they're kind of, even the solo mid lane, Nightstalker against the Rubik is managing to do all right in terms of XP and farm. Darks is actually pulling this small camp from the mid lane. They cut down all those trees using a Quelling Blade. And as a result, Darksy can pull the creep wave over to that small camp and deny a lot of XP coming the way of the Rubik. So really, IG just trying to maximize this, use this jungle to perfection and deny as much XP as possible.
This is pretty funny on the bottom lane. Both teams keep on running into each other and then just randomly not really sure if they want to go in, not sure if they want to back off. In the end, some blows traded, the camp is warded, and a little bit of pulling going on, not too much. It's a Tiny that's not farming well. I mean, he really can't approach the creep wave. Panda's getting farmed. The downside, of course, the support's a bit underleveled. Mid lane going well for Sharky, 19-4. You know, Nightstalker is getting the levels for the most part. with that high base armor, and now that he's got the bottle, he can kind of spam Void to farm when the courier's not in use. Maybe we'll see some bottle crowing from him. Up top, YYF being shut down, so overall I gotta say MUFC doing pretty decently. Their 2 solo lanes are winning, and their tri lane, although they gave up a first blood, they've recovered pretty well.
Yeah, I really like this choice to send the Shadow Fiend top against the solo Bounty Hunter. I mean, it's what we saw IG do with the win run against Bounty Hunter. Shadow Fiend, as long as he gets those early last hits, once he gets some souls, he just dominates that lane in terms of last hits, and that's what we're going to just keep see happening. Bounty Hunter's sitting on 7 creeps with just the 1 deny, and there's nothing he can do about that. He can't really harass because Shadow Fiend's been pulled some tangos, but bottom lane, there's the aggression. Once again, MUFC find themselves being too aggressive, and the kill gets turned around, and this is not what IG want to be
Ferrari.
doing.
And there is a salve on Ken, but Ling is screwed. Glimpse back, but not in time! Speaking of from long range, that auto attack completing as he's glimpsed back, just slapping him down with those angry claws from across the map. Now he comes back mid and wants to go on Sharky. Sharky underestimated his speed. This is another kill.
Oh, we get really nice.
Wow. Big plays.
Never mind. We obviously don't know as much as these players know, but that telekinesis there. That little spot saved his life.
I actually think he could have gone in anyway there, just because he's had the haste for like another 8 seconds, but if you get fogged, you can get into trouble, so... Ferrari opts to play it safe.
If that was just a normal telekinesis back, if he didn't use that little cliff there, he would have been definitely a kill. But yeah, like you say, the haste was still there, but I think playing it safe is fine anyways. I mean, Sharky, he's been forced to send his bottle back to base to refill it. He's been pushed out of this lane, and now he can't really control the runes as well as he'd like. It's Ferrari who's being proactive in ganking, as we do see. Once again, MUFC looking to get aggressive on bottom lane. They want Chuan. Chuan going to try juking some trees. He's going to get glimpsed back, and this should be the death of him. Chuan trapped in the Thunderdome, and he's going to go down. MUFC picking up this kill is going to go away. Yeah, I was about to say he should go down. It's
Shakira. This is the tank. Oh, mid lane. Meanwhile, like you said, zhou actually rotates in and they get a kill. Level 7 on Ferrari, and this is the nice thing about their lineup is now that Night Stalker's got his levels, got his basic items, he can roam as the night is about to kick off. Give that Tiny the sort of protected far mid, and maybe he can catch up this way.
I mean, some of these CSs, Tiny with 6 CS, Bounty Hunter with 7. I mean, that's bad if you're IG. I mean, that's not the kind of things you want to be seeing on your offlane solo. He was in a 1v1 matchup. If you're against a tri lane, sure, but he was in a 1v1 matchup. Tiny was in your sort of safe lane, and so far it's not looking good. They're going to try rotate heroes top. They want to start ganking the Shadow Fiend. They know they need to. They're going to get the kill. YYF and Ferrari comboing up for that one, and that's what we're going to see Ferrari trying to do the next, especially this first nighttime. Just get as many kills as possible on this unprotected Shadow Fiend. Punish them for running him as a solo. He had a great start here, but now MUFC have to rotate supports top because Shadow Fiend is just going to become prey for this Night Stalker.
Yeah, and in fact, that's if he goes there. He's actually going to dive mid. He's got the silence, and that's an easy way to set up a kill on Sharky. The kinetic field is there, dropping low, but the urn should bring him down. Ferrari mauls him and look for him to go right back in on lane, maybe after a bottle charge. 3 heroes mid. No, gonna back off. Bottle on zhou as well. Just, you know, despite the fact that, like you said, he's not farming well, he's got the boots, he's got the bottle. And Tiny, although you'd love to get those massive items up, E-Home Lamb style, just maxed out. Well, here comes the gank top. Straight back on Ohio. No mercy. Relentless aggression. There's the urn charge. The Void, not only 1 Void so far. Will YYF be able to get in range? They're going to dive this real aggressively. And the Shuriken Toss to clean a back kill. 2 deaths in a matter of a minute or so for the Shadow Fiend. You said they needed to rotate, but they failed to do so, and they pay.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend's a very sort of iffy hero, especially as a solo for the reasons we're seeing now. Sure, he can be great at winning that 1v1 matchup early on. He can do that in the mid lane as well, but the problem is around this 5-minute mark, once the supports and other solos get their levels, they just dominate the map, and we're seeing it once again at top lane. Here comes Night Stalker, the solo mid by Ferrari. He's going to pick himself up another kill, his 5th kill of the game. We're just 7 minutes in. IG, I mean, they are one of the most aggressive teams in Dota at the moment, and they're just punishing MUFC all over the map. 8 kills to 2 up already, and none of these MUFC heroes can really go safe. Where does Shadow Fiend even go to farm at this point? He needs to farm. He needs to get up those treads, start building his BKB, start getting some more levels so he can get some points in the ultimate, but there's just nowhere that's safe while it's nighttime.
I mean, you know, you mentioned IG, not only an aggressive team in China, but really even outside of China, just very aggressive. And especially in this version, I feel the patch favors teams like them. Urn and the Void onto net, caught, trapped, and picked up again. Just wanted to place a ward to try and protect Ohio, and Ferrari's not done yet. He's going to go in. He could micros treads. There's the avalanche. Maybe Mana for 1 more Void. He throws it off. He gets the kill on Ohio. And now the Ice Path. They want Sharky too. The Macro Pyre just burning him apart. Wicked sick for Ferrari, 7-0-2. Sensational play, and remember, he was getting kind of shut down mid, but that Hasteburn set it up. Now they go back in on Ken, who's got the ult, will be forced to use that primal split. Let's see how many kills he can clean up off of it. Boulder toss onto Zhou, then the kinetic field, throwing him up in the air, then back down, bringing him down, so they get one, but in fact, Chuan's going man mode or dragon mode, and it's not going to work. He's going to pay for this. Double kill, coming back the other way, desperately needed. Not sure it's quite enough to pull them all the way back into this game, but it's something for them.
It's something, but I mean, Ferrari just executing to perfection. He's got now level 9.
Top.
He's going to rotate. Once again, Shadow Fiend is in trouble. He's got no TP. He's got no way out. He is going to go down for the 4th time in less than 4 minutes, I feel, and Ferrari finds himself another kill. Mid lane, he treads switching to make sure he has mana for another Void. He is just ganking the map, playing this Night Stalker, and this is like when... I feel like this is when Dota 2 first came out and Night Stalker was a top pick, top ban. This is kind of the reason why the Night Stalker is doing just this, just what we're seeing Ferrari doing. He's going to find another kill at mid lane. Sharky going to go down. Ferrari on a godlike streak at 9 minutes into the game. What are we seeing? This guy is just absolutely sick.
You know, we talked. I personally said I made this statement, and I'm not afraid to admit it. That normally you'd expect to see Ferrari getting his signature heroes, but I think we're seeing that Night Stalker may be one of his new signature heroes. He's had success on it in the past, but at TI2 they were favoring the Templar Assassin, the Invoker. We even saw him on Broodmother occasionally. But Ferrari showing that he is a jack of all trades, master of all trades as well, and he is really opening up space for his team. It was a greedy lineup, like you mentioned for IG. Not that powerful in the laning stage, need a lot of levels, a lot of farm, but with this kind of space, with the Bounty Hunter, the Night Stalker just terrorizing the opposition, they've got all the time and space in the world to get that farm up.
Yeah, the main problem for MUFC right here is that Shadow Fiend's been the one getting constantly ganked. If he hadn't had those deaths, if he'd still been farming, he'd be up to his treads, maybe an Ogre Club, he'd have some HP, he'd be able to survive a bit longer, and they'd be in a bad position. They are going to find themselves a kill. They've grouped up at bottom S5. They find Darkseer. They're not going to get the Bounty Hunter as well. He's invised up. He's trying to scout things, and I don't see many sentries or dust on any of these heroes. They haven't really got the way to deal with this Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter's going to get a solo kill, and we'll get out. They haven't got sentries or dust. The clap comes in. Maybe an Anchor well-placed raise. Ohaiyo, spot on with that one, and MUFC want to try convert this into a tower now. If they can do that, they'll be in a much better position here.
Even if they get this tower, though, this is the beauty of IG start, is MUFC, the correct reaction, they group up as 5. That's where their lineup is strongest with the Panda ult, with the Tidehunter ult, but it means IG to split push, and they're even finding the solo kill. Sure, Bounty Hunter dies there, but he gets a track kill, another kill going out for him, and meanwhile the tower is being traded evenly, so... overall, IG just really... we saw last game understanding they could be aggressive in that tri lane, knowing the matchup, knowing when to push with that Aegis, getting the right items to do so, and we're seeing it again, a different lineup, but similar level of knowledge. Ferrari pulled back in, but just able to walk out of the kinetic field, and a 4-hero Ice Path. Who needs Fissure? This is the new Fissure of Dota 2. Oh my goodness, Chuan just saving Ferrari's ass there so hard, and now they all get away scot-free, and that was 4, in fact it was 5 heroes all rotating mid, and they get nothing.
And they've still got no vision for Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter's just having a field day, scouting for his team, picking off little support heroes, poking at support heroes, just chipping down at the MUFC lineup, and they've got no way of dealing with him. Sure, they've got some AoE spells that hit him while he's invis. They did kill him last time, but he's providing his team so much intel, allowing them to be aggressive, and we're going to see Ferrari try and come back in here, and they're going to get one. They're going to get Rubik. Here goes the Tide Ravage. MUFC trying to turn things around with that. They do take out Zhou the Tiny, but at this point, Zhou's more or less a support, and MUFC, they're on the back foot. Tiny's even bought back just for kicks and shits and giggles, and now IG just taking down heroes one by one. Ferrari is just going man mode. He's going to get a higher, and all this track gold, all these heroes are tracked up, giving IG more and more gold. It's a complete team buy. 5 for 1. Tiny buys back, but I feel that was more just like a victory buyback as IG completely destroy that fight.
I love the changes to Shadow Fiend because even when he's losing, it's like a kid that just wants to open up that piñata at a birthday party to get the delicious treats inside. Ferrari pops him like one, the candy, the gold just flies out, splayed all across the deck, and IG get the tier 2 off of that, and the gold graph, like you said, just a ridiculous spike upwards for IG. Very basic items still. This lineup, they just don't need that many items to start fighting, and knowing the lineup, playing it correctly, and MUFC just a bit behind going into that fight really cost them there. It was a good Ravage, a decent Panda ult, but it just wasn't enough.
I know a lot of people doubting this lineup because of having the 4 melee heroes, but they're compensating for it by getting early game tanking items and just being as aggressive as possible. Bounty Hunter's not being controlled. The Night Stalker is not even close to being controlled. They're going to try and get a kill on the Bounty Hunter here under the tower here. They've got no Ravage here. Great ultimate coming from Disruptor. It's picked off to an IG. They've slightly overextended here, and now they're going to lose Zhou once again. Zhou not having the best game. Look at that AoE! Jakiro just turned things head on its heels. And in goes Ferrari. Ferrari just says, oh, it's daytime. I don't really care. I'm just too damn big and tanky. He is on the run now. He does need to be careful, but he's the only one actually left standing for IG. MUFC may have found a fight to finally go their way.
He's on a godlike streak, but they just can't kill him. My kingdom for a blink dagger, says the Shadow Fiend, but the urn up on the high ground. And Ferrari's ult is cooling down, so they gotta be careful not to overextend. Everyone's respawning. Ohaiyo is still chasing this. He's still going. Maybe a little bit frustrated, but finally he's gonna back off. And I think just in the nick of time, will they go in for this? YYF is here, maybe looking to set up a killing. Ken has to run straight back to base. There's the sentry ward. He will be spotted, and now glimpsed back. They're not even going to try and bait him into that. They just want to get out of there, and they will in the end. After some serious back and forth, the gold graph, the experience graph have stabilized, but IG still in a great position. All the BKBs are coming soon. In fact, I think Ferrari just purchased his, and that's going to make this Night Stalker just 5 times as hard to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, Night Stalker BKB at this point, I mean, that basically is going to negate the Tide Ravage, negate anything Disruptor can do. They can't touch him. They haven't got physical damage. It's way too early in the game for Shadow Fiend to be doing much damage or having too many big items. Shadow Fiend, with that big team fight there, picked himself up 2 kills in that, and also a lot of gold, a lot of XP, space and time to farm. He's leading the CS. He's getting close to a BKB now, but it's going to be coming a lot, I mean, later than you'd like for your Shadow Fiend, who was winning that CS battle convincingly in top lane against the Bounty Hunter. And the problem's going to be that this IG teamfight, it's scary with the Darkseer thrown in there as well. The one concern for IG is that Tiny is not doing too well, hasn't got much farm at all, bought back. He's 1-4 Zhou. This has not been Zhou's game, so that's really the one sort of good factor for MUFC, and they've got a blink now on their Panda, so they can look to force some fights.
I love this decision, getting the blink and then immediately smoking up. If they can get a good Panda ult, blink, clap, ult, they can probably get 2-3 kills. We saw it in that previous fight. If you hit your raises, IG are still very killable. It's when the BKBs start coming out, when they're being used, that life gets a lot trickier. But IG is smoked up as well, and their teams are about to clash. Who's going to get spotted out first? Ken walking towards the low ground. IG seems to know what's up. They know, oh, they're going to find them all just in time. And the Ice Path only catching up. The Shadow being vacuumed in. Oh, look at the AoE, the humanity. Everyone exploding. Massive burst damage, and now Ferrari on a tear, clawing his way through Ling. The Panda ult forced out, but this Panda ult's about to end, and that's the deadest Panda you'll ever see unless he blinks away. Surging forward, Zhou chasing, doesn't need items, doesn't need really any farm at all to pick up this kill at least, tossing him up in the air. Ice Path's gonna miss. Team wipe again for IG. They got the initiation there, and that was all she wrote for MUFC.
Absolutely. I mean, they're really executing well as a team. They made the one bad decision earlier at top lane, but, I mean, apart from that, it's just been a clinical show of aggressive Dota play from IG. 25 kills in just 17 minutes here. They're just, I mean, they're really looking to shut MUFC down, not give them a second to breathe with this constant aggression. That's where you see those mistakes like the team fight at top, but the second team wipe of the game for a team like IG, they are just completely steamrolling here, and Ferrari now up to 10-0 and 8. He's got 1,400 gold now on top of this BKB. I mean, he just goes into that fight, prevents Tide from getting a Ravage off using that silence here. But the problem is they can't force another fight here. They're up against a Ravage as well as a lot of firepower coming from this MUFC side. And YYF actually going to get caught out. He got a bit too greedy there. He may get away here. Can he get away? He will. Oh, YYF, you sneaky.
Nope.
He's going to get glimpsed back here. Oh, well-placed raise from Shadow Fiend. Timed that perfectly. So YYF, I mean, I think he was just kind of getting a bit too comfortable because they haven't had sentries or dust really to deal with him all game. So he kind of thought, okay, I'll just scout things out, but he got caught out there, and small mistake from him right there, but nothing too major. The only problem's going to be if MUFC try force this battle at mid lane.
Oh, Zhou gets caught out, but Ice Path again catching everyone and the wall. Look at the damage, just instantly dropping. 3 heroes dead. 4 to follow, unless Ken can blink away. Will he escape from this one? The Ice Path, low ground to high ground. Chuan catches him out, and now the Night Stalker, or excuse me, YYF on the Bounty Hunter giving chase to Ohaiyo. And unfortunately, that first ray is not connected. Cannot fight this. Should fall as well. This is going to be our third team wipe of the game. Stands there, accepts his fate like a man, although he is not one. He's some sort of weird ethereal creature. God's IG just too good at finding these openings, and we're seeing Jakiro by himself just a devastating teamfight support. When you set up those ice pads, then the vacuum, the wall to follow, MUFC really never had a chance in either of these teamfights.
I hear Darkseer is a good hero, and that's what we're seeing here. This is why Darkseer was such a top pick, top ban for so long. I mean, there's nothing MUFC can do to win any of these fights. They've just got to play it more passively, try to get up some more farm on these heroes. Even when, like, the Nightstalker's BKB's on cooldown, maybe IG are slightly on the back foot. If they overextend even the slightest bit MUFC, in comes the Ice Pass, followed up with a perfect vacuum and Macro Pyre, and doing massive damage. The new Macro Pyre lasts a full 7 seconds. It really is a strong skill now. There's no point skipping it on Jakiro anymore. You want to get it as soon as possible, get points in that, and now we're going to see IG look to sort of tighten the noose. They're going down this bottom lane. They want another tower. They're ahead by a lot of kills, a huge gold lead, but they've got a lineup where they haven't got a lot of late game carry potential with this Tiny because of his current lack of farm. So maybe they want to end this as fast as possible. They don't want to give Shadow Fiend and Panda time to buy space, get farm, and take this to late game.
It's also sort of the philosophy that we've heard Dendy and Puppy talk about, where anything can happen if the game gets late enough. So why risk it? Why not just end the game while you have this kind of an advantage, while you're in a commanding position and they really can't defend too easily? I like the aggression from IG, and one thing we can say for sure is they're not really going to let up for too long. Getting that Aegis, we're probably going to see something very similar. Just a timing push, maybe wait for one more BKB, which I think the Bounty Hunter actually is now. YYF. Black King Bar on him, is this his Mithril Hammer? It is, so that's another BKB. And I think with multiple BKBs and the Tiny having an Aegis, all three of your core damage dealers have basically 2 lives, or just going to be very difficult to deal with. So no reason to wait. I think they go high ground right now. MUFC, strong defensive lineup, but against these BKBs, I'm not sure they have the answers.
Yeah, and I mean, they've got the Aegis now. They put it on Zhou, I mean, simply because he hasn't got his BKB yet. I may not even be going for one with this Ogre Cub. Could just be looking at the Aghanim Scepter to get that late game carry potential. But it's not going to matter too much. Like you say, BKB, Bounty Hunter, they've got it on the Nightstalker. It may just come soon on the Tiny. I think with BKBs, MUFC have nothing. Sure, they've got a Shadow Fiend who can maybe do some damage. He's got a BKB to keep him alive, but he's not going to be able to do enough right-click damage to kill a Tiny who's got 600 HP. Nightstalk with 2.3k. Bounty Hunter who can weave in and out of battles. Once they've got BKBs, IG can just take any teamfight on the map. They don't have to worry about the Tide Ravage, the Rubik disables from Telekinesis to Fable. There's so much less to worry about, and it's going to be nearly impossible for MUFC to take any sort of a clash when a 5-on-5 clash against those BKB teams. So MUFC, they've got to sit back, they've got to farm. They just need to try and get whatever map control they can get by putting up some wards around the map. They've done a pretty good job so far with one near mid, one near the bottom lane. They're dewarding as well, but it's just going to be an uphill battle from here on out for them.
I really agree. And, you know, for MUFC, they would love to have an orderly, sort of clean, sterile, organized team fight. Or sterile team fight. But good luck having one against IG. They have so many disruptive heroes, so many mobile heroes. This team is just designed to take what should be an orderly team fight and turn it on its head. And we saw it early with the ganking, but now IG not only getting the initiation, but I feel even if they don't, they can spread out these fights. And MUFC just lack the mobility, despite IG having 4 melee heroes. They're really the ones who can sort of spread out these fights and really prevent MUFC from grouping up, at least the way they would like to.
Yeah, and look at this Ferrari. Armlet of Mordigan is the pick up for him.
I love it.
This is some DPS. I mean, it's not coming from the Tiny maybe, or at least Tiny may offer some sort of AoE teamfight cleaving later on if he goes for the Ags, but the Armlet will just give single target DPS. He can be that right-click damage dealer to taking down the single targets as fast as possible. And as far as DPS items goes, this is one of the most cost-effective there is. I mean, sort of up there with maybe Desolator for single target DPS, but a great little pickup here and something which is very clever from Ferrari.
Yeah, I like this item, and I love the way they're using this lineup. They're giving everybody farm, and they're not putting all their eggs in that one basket. Like you mentioned, zhou not really having a great game by any means. Even at this point, he's 3-4 and 16. He's got a ton of assists, but it doesn't feel like he's done too much in these engagements. It's really been the team setting him up for them. But he's getting the track gold, and you know they're not relying on Tiny to carry this game. He's also under leveled, which is a bit of a concern as well. Looks like the Ags is coming now.
Yeah, he's got the eggs up now, but I mean it's not as fast as he'd like. He will, if it goes late enough, I feel like he will be sort of on par with Shadowfiend and the Brewmaster, both those heroes who have been really sort of shut down. So it's not as if, sure, he's not farming more, but neither is MUFC here. So MUFC are well and truly behind. MUFC doing a good job at getting whatever map control they can. They're de-warding while preventing IG from having full vision of their neutrals, of the bottom lane around the secret shop, around Roshan. I mean, IG don't have any wards up at the moment, and that's something MUFC have done a great job of. It's the only way they'll ever take a fight here. They need to be careful not to get tracked up too early on in the fights either, otherwise they sort of give away that vision advantage which they're trying to get right now.
Right, and then Night Stalker just pops his BKB, charges in, and there is nothing you can do. The silence as well, that's another ability which can really mess up MUFC's team fight. Whether it's the Tiny or the Panda, I feel silencing either of those heroes, you just ignore them, focus the others down. IG, they have the Aegis. We expected them to go aggressive while they have this. It's what we saw last game was get the Aegis up, get your core items, and then before it expires, go push. But it looks like IG just wants to play this one a little bit slower. And sure, they might not have the hardest carry. The Tiny can be, I mean, Tiny when he gets really farmed can be the hardest carry of the game. And something's making you snicker.
Jakiro has a BKB? What?
Oh, Chuan, this is 6-3 and 15 with track gold and all these towers. That's where it's coming from.
I'm amazed. This is a very farm IG lineup. They've got 3 BKBs now, and that's with their supports having BKBs.
And
Darksy's got mech and pipe. I mean, this is just a huge death ball coming the way of MUFC. Sure, there's 4 melee heroes. You're like, okay, 4 melee heroes. We'll kite them around. We've got a Tide Ravage to defend us. We've got a Blink on our Brewmaster. We can take the fight to them if we want. But no, this is a mech, pipe, BKBs. IG have all the items they could want to push with. They've got the Liquid Fire as well, a great pushing tool. And this is going to be so hard to defend for MUFC. Probably impossible.
Toss in, and then the Ice Path catching out Ling. Instantly brought down. Now they focus on, oh wait, just look at him getting broken apart by Ferrari, just ripping him, rending him limb from limb, and now onto Sharky, the Avalanche coming out, just trying to sort of defend that one. He stole it, but not enough. He'll drop as well. Zhou was kind of in the back lines, dealing with some other heroes. They still haven't got Chuan. Another Ice Path, and the wall. Disgusting, absolutely filthy AoE damage, and everyone lives. And there's your GGs.
MUFC just getting destroyed here. I mean, nothing against their play. I mean, I feel like their draft, I mean, it was solid. They just got completely outplayed, completely manhandled, and IG are just sort of a class above them, a couple classes above them maybe. I don't know who's going to be out the competition for IG. Luckily, there's the TI2 third place finishes LGD in their group, because this was just a walk in the park for Invictus Gaming.
Absolutely. We're seeing they haven't lost the step since the International, and it's not that anyone expected them to, but, you know, there are always people, oh, you know, we haven't seen IG play lately, maybe they've been taking it easy. No, this is not a team like Na'Vi where they win a big tournament and then they stop practicing, they sort of take a break and recover. This is a team, Dota is their life. Dota is what they do. They live in a house together, they practice together, and there's really no let-up. They're very professional as well. What a performance from IG. MUFC lose this series, but the nice thing for them is its group stage play. You can't really count on beating IG, and for anyone who's not familiar with the tournament format for the G1 League, only one team is eliminated coming out of the groups. If you finish high in your group, you'll have a better chance at advancing through the online playoffs into that LAN finals, but it's only their first best out of 2. They have 3 more to come and plenty of chances to sort of climb back in this, but IG, dominating performance in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, MUFC, like you say, group stages, and you can't be banking on being a team like IG. I mean, I mentioned at the start, you're kind of happy if you take one game, and I think that's all maybe MUFC is sort of gunning for. Take one game off them and you walk away. Really great. Losing both, okay, that sucks. You want to take that one game, but it's kind of the expected result. Sure, you've got to believe you can beat anyone when you're in a competition like this, otherwise you shouldn't be competing. But MUFC can walk away from this. They can regroup, regather themselves for their next match. I feel like they've got a group where they can finish top 2, top 3. They've got to beat they've got LGD. That's the real other tough team in their group. So they're sort of looking at third place. They've got to beat EG and SQL. Which I think are both teams they should beat, given the circumstances that this is an Asian tournament on the Singapore server. So MUFC shouldn't get too rattled by this game. They're just going to move on from here.
Morally, though, it's got to be a little frustrating to just get absolutely torn apart by IG. Well, guys, that wraps it up for our first series. For today, we really don't have a break at all. I think in 10 minutes we'll be heading into our second.